Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast. Today, we have a very special episode for you guys. Today, we have brought back the podcast crew from 2 years ago that did the dating episode all the way back in 2022. We got the captain with us, Mr. Byron Mitchell. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good today.
And then we have the pop culture expert, Miss Chelsea Heppard. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm good.
And then we have the My Hero enthusiast with us, Miss Andrea Alanese. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How are y'all?
Good. And then her first podcast of 2024 and first time back in a long time, Dr. Kassie Lowry. How are you doing today? And welcome back.
I'm doing just great, Martin.
And then also making his first podcast of 2024, Mr. Junior Array. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about what's changed since we did the dating one 2 years ago, if things have gotten better or worse. But first, we are going to start off with this list. So this made the waves late last year. Everyone's seen the video. A woman was going out on a date with a young man, and she did not want to come out of the car because he was taking her to the Cheesecake Factory, and went viral. We've all seen the video. We all have seen this list. But now we actually get to talk about the list in the podcast forum. So always starting with my man, Byron. When you first saw the viral video and then the list, what were your thoughts?
When I first saw the video, I actually rewatched it before this podcast. The whole video is cringe to me. Just like, why would you not get out of the car when someone's willing to take you out on a date? The Cheesecake Factory, which we all know Cheesecake Factory is a very expensive restaurant. So he's spending some cash to take you out, and just to refuse to get out of the car is very rude to me. So I was taken aback by the video, but shout out to that man because he played it well. He was calm, cool, collected. Gave his reasons and his expectations for the first date, which he said she didn't meet, so he took her home. So shout out for him just sticking to his expectations. But when the full list came out, that full list is just laughable. Like, there's so many restaurants on this list that apparently you can't take a first date to because apparently it's not up to snuff.
Junior, what were your thoughts when you saw the viral Cheesecake Factory video and this list? And we'll go through it later on.
I just couldn't stop laughing, man. That's just pathetic. I'm not gonna lie. I know there's 3 amazing, beautiful women in this podcast, but I'll be honest. Like, women nowadays in this modern era, they're just a joke. If I'm gonna be honest, their standards are insane, but then they don't bring anything to the table. So it's beyond me that this woman in this situation is saying that she wouldn't go to a Cheesecake Factory date with a guy. That's pathetic. And the guy, I assume, is gonna be paying for the meal. She's getting a free meal, and she's still thinking she's above that, which is mind blowing. But hey, I mean, it is what it is.
And then for also context for people, if you watch her thing, she was also an hour late.
That's pathetic.
Yes.
So, which is wild. So then throwing it, because I know she had a whole text going back to the doctor, Dr. Kassie. What were your thoughts when that cheesecake video went viral?
If I remember correctly, I think you're actually the first one that sent it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a bit of a back and forth about it. So I like the video itself. Like, I don't know what her issue is. Personally, I love Cheesecake Factory. I don't know anybody who doesn't love the Cheesecake Factory because there's like 5,000 things on the list. But I mean, as far as the Cheesecake Factory goes, like, being respectable and like being a nice person to other people, especially when they're willing to plan a date for you, just seems absurd to me. Like, you should be thankful that somebody put some effort into it, because like while I hear that women can be a hot mess, like being on the other side of it, men can also be a hot mess. I think everybody's just a disaster zone when it comes to dating these days. Because I will be honest, I don't know that I would say it's really changed all that much, other than now we have 400,000 lists of icks and things that you won't go do and stuff like that. I mean, there are definitely things on this list that, like, Martin, you and I had a conversation about, like, there's some reasonable reasons that you wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable as a woman going to somebody's house.
And we'll go through each one.
So that's just my like initial thoughts.
Andrea?
Yeah, so same as Kassie, you were the first one to actually share it with me. And again, kind of just echoing what Kassie said in the sense of like, it's like there's no middle ground, it seems like. Where the only response where I really saw a woman coming out and saying, like, you know, it's okay to have your standards be that you want to go to like quote unquote fancier restaurants. But the lady followed that up saying, like, but this is your first date. You can communicate that while you're on the first date to see if this is something that the both of you would want to pursue, and not just park your butt in the car and refuse to get out. Like, it was taking it to a whole unnecessary place. Agreed. Love the Cheesecake Factory. I don't know anybody that doesn't really enjoy their, is it brown bread? I don't know what type exactly, but it's delicious. And like Kassie said, again, there are a couple of things on the list where it's like, kind of like a safety thing or just comfortability thing. And like personally for me, looking at a couple of them, there's just like logical things, like another one for like the movies. As a first date, unless you're going to dinner after the movies, you don't really get to talk or get to know them at all if your first date is just to the movies. But yeah, like you said, we're going to go down the list in general, but I was taken aback, and then at the same time it made sense why it blew up, because it just seems to add fuel to that divisive fire that's been stoked more recently in my memory in the last few years.
Spotify Wrapped star Chelsea Hepper, what do you think?
It was wild. One, I love Cheesecake Factory, and Andrea, you were right. The brown bread is top tier. But two, I just don't understand how, if you're going on a first date, how that restaurant wasn't communicated beforehand. Like, I feel like she either had to have known the type of restaurant or like level that they were going to. So I don't understand why she was being so dramatic. And then to be an hour late on top of it is mind blowing to me. Like, I can see being 5 minutes late, whatever, but it was incredibly frustrating to watch for both parties, because I can't even imagine, one, going on a first date sucks in general, but to have that attitude and that level of disrespect, that's awful for the guy who had to go through that.
Well, I have a question. So, Chelsea, you said going on the first date sucks. Why does it suck?
I suck at talking to strangers. That's why.
Yeah, that's it's a common statistic. The first date's usually the most awkward one. But that goes back to Andrea's.
I disagree.
Well, that goes back to Andrea's thing, though. Like what Andrea said about the movies, if you can't talk to someone, makes it tough.
The hell you going to the movies for the first date then?
Well, that's why it's on
the list of like not to do for a first date. That's why like that one makes sense. But then there's a lot of restaurants on here where people are like, "Oh, this list is bullshit." Where it's like, well, no, a couple of them kind of just logistically make sense, and not most of them though, but a couple.
Right. Let's go through them.
Oh, wait, can I just add one thing? In regards to the video, the guy actually was going to take her to a fancier restaurant, but because she was an hour late, they missed the reservation. So she basically played herself.
Well, that's her issue then.
And locked herself in his car.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that also goes to essentially for him showing, on top of being like an hour late, just shows her character in being, willing to adapt and, all of that stuff. Especially, I'm sorry, I'm somebody who's chronically late 100%. If I'm more than 15 minutes late for a date, I'm not expecting to go on that date anymore. I'm basically reaching out to be like, I am so sorry. Like, I need to reschedule. Like, communicate. Like, I couldn't expect somebody that's taking me on a date to wait an hour.
All right. So I think also one of the biggest problems is here is it's blanked out. It's right here. Women absolutely refuse to, so it speaks in like a more totality instead of like if she just would have said this is my list,
right?
Then that would be her. But this list is speaking on behalf of all women, so definitely want to we'll go down each of the ones and have the women explain why you wouldn't go if you wouldn't go. So number one, the Cheesecake Factory. All three of you ladies said you'd be fine with that.
For sure.
Yes, because it's delicious.
Okay.
For real.
Applebee's, which they also use this list to their advantage because then they have a date night package, if you did not know.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. So would you ladies go to Applebee's on a first date?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Chili's?
No, because my tummy. That would not be good.
I was gonna say, like, I don't mind Chili's, but their quality of food in the last few years has gone down. Chili's was one of the only main restaurants in my town growing up. So like we always used to go to Chili's and it was bomb. But these last few years, they just haven't been up to snuff. But like on principle, if somebody invited me out on a date and they decided that we should go to Chili's, I would still go.
Okay. Chipotle?
Definitely.
Sure.
Olive Garden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Give me those breadsticks. Oh yeah.
I know I feel like these are the first two no's. The movies.
I actually don't hate the movies, truthfully. But I will say, like, normally every time that I've done the movies, we've done other things too to like be able to talk.
Right. Like you just need that follow-up time. It can't just be going to the movies.
Okay. So movies, you need something beforehand, like a meal or meal afterhand. You can't just go to the movie and be like, oh, see you tomorrow, and then leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even like a walk.
Yeah. Okay. I even saw something as like an article talking about why like the movies and a walk or movies and dinner is a really good first date, because essentially if you run out of things to talk about, at least you're able to talk about the movie. Mm-hmm. So it automatically kind of sets a level playing field of like, we were both just witnessed this movie, experienced it. We can talk about it if we hit an awkward pause or run out of things to say.
All right. So I'm going to combine 7 and 21. 7 is your house, and then 21 is a movie night, Netflix, Hulu, etc., which you'd be probably watching that at the person's house.
Right.
All right. What's thoughts?
I mean, unless it's somebody that I've known for a while, like their house is a hard no for me on the first date. Especially like if I've never met them in person before. Not because like I have any expectations. We can literally go on like a walk or something else, but I need to like physically come in contact with you before I decide if you are a safe person or not.
Right.
Agreed.
Byron, you asking any ladies out to your house on a first date?
No, I don't know them.
Oh, right. And that's the other part of it is like, that's bold, inviting a stranger into your own house too.
How about yourself, Junior?
And I'm so sorry. You're just asking about would I invite someone over?
To your house for a first date?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Why would you if you don't know them?
Oh, I mean, I know how to fight, so I'm all right. I can defend myself. I think I'll be okay.
Like Lil Wayne would say, and J. Cole, listen to Mona Lisa.
That's very true.
I'm just saying, you invite them in your house and they just take all your stuff. But
I ain't worried about it. We'll be all right.
Any fast food chain. So I'm assuming McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell.
Hey, all I'm saying is this before you guys answer. I think a very, very underrated date would be getting food in a car, sitting in a parking lot or somewhere, eating the food and just chopping it about life. I think that's a slept on date. I think, and for my opinion, I would be open to that.
Oh, it's a great date. That's most of the early dates that I had with my now boyfriend, because we would grab food during our lunch break. So obviously it's quick, it's fast, and we would just sit in the car and talk. So yeah, no, definitely. I particularly like, as my biggest thing is safety. And so like with going to a fast food chain, like on a first date, I typically drive myself. So I also feel like it kind of just levels the playing field. Like, oh, let's both meet up at this place. Things aren't going right. You know, you can leave and there will be witnesses. Same thing with any other restaurant. But there's kind of like there's less pressure, I feel like, in a fast food restaurant versus a typical sit down. There's a server and all that good stuff.
So, Andrea, to piggyback off of your thing, then what date number would be appropriate for your, like, the person you're dating to pick you up? Because just 20, 30 years ago, the age-old thing, the guy would pick you up from the place, like from your place, take you the day, take you back home, and then you decide if you want to go another one. Now, what you said is true. Both parties are driving to the date for safety reasons, stuff like that.
I mean, my last instances with this, I think it took at least four or five dates before I was like, yeah, no, you can pick me up. Because the other part of picking me up is knowing where I live.
Yeah.
Chelsea, did you have anything you wanted to say about fast food chains?
No, I think it's totally fine, especially for the reasons that Andrea said, like for safety and witnesses and all of that good stuff.
And then you have some more food stuff. Wingstop, Red Lobster, a buffet, IHOP, Denny's. Don't know why all these places got attacked on this thing, but
Right.
Any thoughts on those places? Are they similar to what food stuff we've already said?
I would personally say no to a buffet, just because I am not a fan of them. One, you're paying a high price for something that you may or may not eat your money's worth for. Two, they're disgusting in the sense of you can very easily get food poisoning, or if you have an allergy, like the risk of cross-contamination is high. And three, like I don't like buffets on principle. So that would be a no for me.
Okay. So that's just a personal preference. Like that's
that's just a personal, my preference. But if you wanted to go to IHOP, which I think was the one before, I'd be fine with that.
Anyone else? Any food things?
I was actually gonna say, like, I like buffets. I kind of would be curious to see how the style of buffet eater my date would be, because there is a method to the madness to try to get your money's worth, as well as like kind of honing in on the things that they at least the way I eat at a buffet, I'll go after something that I don't typically get to eat, as well as like comfort foods. So then you kind of get potentially like a snapshot of like all the different types of food potentially that they like.
Oh, fair enough. All right, you go from food stuff to number 15, close to midway point, the gym.
Ooh, I'll do a gym date for sure.
So how do you invite someone for your first, because these are, again, first date. How do you do a first date at the gym if you don't know they don't even like the gym?
Well, the thing is, though, I'm going to know information about the person beforehand, and we're going to agree, like, hey, do you want to do a gym date and then go get food afterwards? And then if they like the gym, they're going to tell me that they work out or whatever the case is, and then we do that and then go from there.
Okay, so
you got to remember now, before the first date, I'm going to be texting this person, or we're going to be on the phone or FaceTiming. So I'm going to know about the person already. So then once I have that background information, okay, cool. Do you like to work out? All right, let's go work out and then go get food afterwards. Or, hey, I like this type of food. All right, we can go there for a date, first date. Like, that's the thing, though, that I think we're missing is like you're going to be talking to this person before to get some background information on that person. And then from there, you can make a decision on what type of date you want to go to. You know what I mean?
Agreed. But in these cases, especially with these lists, and like Kassie said earlier, with the 4,000 billion list, a lot of the people who are making these lists are also, they want to, which we talked about, want to go to fancy places, but they don't they don't want to pick the place. They want to be catered to. So they just want to be like, and they don't want to give you, and there's like, some of them in that traditional sense, like you're the man, you go pick whatever date.
You just tell me what we're doing.
And then, and then I'll show up.
Personally.
And then that's fine. If that's the case, and I take you a place, then don't fucking complain. And if you don't like the place I'm taking you to,
I was gonna say, I mean, like if you're gonna be putting that back on whoever is planning a date, like if you say you plan the date, like you don't have a right to be upset about it when that date like goes sideways.
Right.
I like the gym, but I personally would probably not ever take a first date on the gym because I sweat a ton, and I've also been told by my guy gym mates that I would outlift most of the men that I have dated, so probably not a great idea.
That's even better, so you can start talking shit to them.
I personally would never.
I thought that was a great reason, but I also outlift about half of the gym. So
nah, me personally, I would never take anyone to the gym on the first date because I personally treat the gym like work. I'm not there to socialize.
Yeah, you're not there to work around.
So I wouldn't take someone to a place I work as a date.
As somebody who's been coached by you, yes, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
Byron,
fuck that. I'll also take on a date.
No, I wouldn't personally take someone to the gym or the next option, church. For
church? Oh, hell no.
Like that's
no.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Like for like religion, some is a touchy subject for a lot of people. So taking them to church on the first date just seems like you're inviting chaos into that relationship.
I personally would never take anybody to church. I'd personally never take anybody to church, but I also don't go to church. So there's that. But I will say, I had a friend who just got married who was very, very, very big into the like Christianity religion things. And I think that they probably have gone on like first dates to church, but I also know prior to that, they know exactly like what type of religion they are. So I feel like if you're doing that, you already know a lot about that person's religious background.
Well, I know these next ones, Chelsea she liked, but was surprised they were on the list. Ice cream dates, coffee dates.
I feel like a coffee date is honestly the most ideal date for me. But one, I love coffee. Two, you can keep it as long or as short as you want. And there's always going to be people around or like things to talk about. Like you can talk about the coffee, you can talk about the atmosphere, you can talk about the people sitting there. And then if you're vibing, like depending on the coffee shop, you could get snacks or just chill and comfy couches. And to me, it's more fun.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts on coffee, ice cream dates?
I like coffee and ice cream dates because they're cheap, and I actually go the exact opposite way. I don't usually want somebody on a first date to spend a ton of money on me. Like that makes me uncomfortable.
Well, that TikTok lady, what did she want? Like $500 spent on the first date?
I don't know. She wants something bigger than the Cheesecake Factory, which I used to be a special occasion for me.
Right.
I agree. Family functions.
No.
Damn, that early?
No.
Yeah, that's a hell no.
Unless you're trying to scare them away.
Honestly, family functions, me personally, that should be that's a hell no.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Martin. Yeah.
No.
Right, because you don't know if you're going to be with that person forever, then there's
or till the next day.
Right. And there's that awkward of introducing them to your family, and then your family's going to talk about them to you afterwards. Yeah. So no,
here's some baby pictures on your first date.
Oh hell,
right?
No. Hell no.
You're gonna have that family member that's going to absolutely embarrass you.
Because typically, like, I guess we're all old enough to be like old school, but like you don't bring someone in front of your family until you know it's like quasi like serious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So no, that's hell no. We already talked about movies. Somewhere that requires a long drive.
Oh, that's kind of sketchy.
Right.
I guess it depends on how long the drive.
2 hours or more.
What is okay? I was gonna say, what is a long drive? Like, define it.
Yeah, I don't 2 hours or more. No, because it's more like a
No.
weekend getaway, and I
Yeah,
want to do
that's
that
a bit
on a
much.
first date.
And it just bowling.
Hey now.
I love bowling.
That's my
Fun.
stuff right there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Most of my relationships have started
sign
out
me
with
up.
bowling.
Sign me up for bowling dates all day, every day.
Nightclubs.
No,
Oh man.
No. No.
but I also would never go to a nightclub. So there you go.
I mean, I don't mind nightclubs. It's just on a first, again, you can hardly communicate with people in a nightclub. Why would you choose that as your first date? Like,
I have a low social battery, so I just wouldn't.
Yes. Hookah bar.
I think that depends on the person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, no, but I can see people doing that.
yeah,
A
I
bar
totally
for
do
just drinks.
bar.
Yeah, I'll go to a bar for just drinks.
Yep.
Done that
Absolutely.
Plenty of times.
Oh, well, man, unless it says, I don't know, you shouldn't do it. Waffle House.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you're trying to see some entertainment, hell
I
yeah.
was about to
Absolutely.
Dinner and a show.
Absolutely.
Oh, hell, yeah, that's sports events.
I'm a hell yes to that. I would love that. See like
Yeah.
what sports they get into, what teams they follow, like their reactions during games. Like it to me, it tells a lot about a person. How much they're willing to let themselves like express how into something they are. Or even if they flip it on, like Junior saying, there's mutual discussions ahead of time. So then they plan a date or they buy tickets to a sporting event that I would enjoy
Mhm.
that maybe they're not as familiar with. Like I am 100% on board first date sporting events.
I would also say, too, that we talked about earlier to combo the sporting event with like food before or afterhand. So you could talk for the game, whatever you're going to, or after the game. Like, so I feel like that one you need a little bit more combo because people
That's true.
like Chelsea don't like sports. So
Nope.
so she would not want to go to a sporting event on the first date.
I
No.
love like sports personally, but I actually very much enjoy sporting events because it's kind of like a movie, but like you can have a conversation about the sport, I guess. Like, because I don't watch baseball, but I went to plenty of Clippers games when I was in Columbus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like going to a game because it's in person and not on TV. But I
Mhm.
also like drinking during the game, and I don't want to get tipsy or drunk on a first date. I feel like that's a third or
Understandable.
fifth date, give or take.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, Byron, I know you joked when this list came out that you can't take anyone anywhere.
From this list, it seems like you can't take anyone anywhere. I know I joked and texted our group chat like, well, I guess our first date we're just going to go to the library and read a book in silence.
That
Right.
sounds great.
I was surprised there wasn't more stuff on here that was like that, honestly, because like some of what people say this list is attacking is like low investment, low cost. But then literally there's very few things on here that are free outside of what? Church?
Yeah.
Church ain't even free like that.
I was gonna say, is that really free?
I mean, it's socially taxing and, potentially spiritually taxing depending on who you are,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah,
religion you're in. But like, there's normally some sort of buy-in in most of these and basically all of them. So, going to the park or going on a walk, right, going on a bike, like a bicycling date, none of those things were on here, which to me was a little bit surprising.
Any other thoughts
Fun
on
fact,
this list?
You
Go ahead.
you can in fact forget how to ride a bike. I did it.
Oh, Kassie.
Oh, it was real bad. But also, I will say that this list is the first one that came out, and now there's one that pops up on my TikTok probably like once a week where this poor man has, I think, like 640 icks.
Oh,
It'll pop up with like something that somebody has decided is an ick or a turn off.
Mhm.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Yup.
about.
Oh my God, I
know what you're
hate
talking
it.
about.
I'm like, there's one where it's like, so don't breathe, don't live, don't don't show emotion. I'm like, I don't know what you don't have on that list, but it keeps growing.
Oh, because people keep
No,
coming up with new stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
my
for
favorite
sure.
one on that list is people that wear glasses. I'm like, oh well, damn.
Aw.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, Byron, you can't see anymore.
Oh,
I
I
know.
mean,
Out of luck.
there was one recently too where a lady said that if you make under $70,000 or you're a public employee, any of those things, that you are a low value individual.
That's wild.
Shots fired.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
And she was
Wow.
more talking for like she can't date a guy who's a police officer, a firefighter, or a government worker, or you work in retail, you make under because you're low value, which have become obviously we talked about a couple of years ago, but now those terms are etched in dating culture now.
Mhm.
Mhm. She also said construction worker, and I know construction workers make a lot of money. So
Oh, they make bank.
But you can't date because they're the job title is not alluring enough.
lucrative.
So
Yeah.
for her, it's not even just because at first, it sounded to me like she was trying to hit that like you'd need to be able to provide a middle class lifestyle on your own. But as soon as you said police officers, I'm like, some police officers, depending on where you're at, make good money, and then construction workers now. So it needs to be money and a prestigious title to come with it. So it's not even just like I'm trying to make sure that I am living a comfortable life with my partner. Okay, I need to be able to show them off and that they have, I don't know, that they're so much more impressive because of what they do or how much money they make, which is sad.
Well, Andrew, the only thing you said up they're not trying the ones that go through all of our algorithms, they're not trying to live a middle class lifestyle. That's that middle class lifestyle, which is not
Okay,
existent.
what
They're
blows
not
my
trying to live that.
mind. Hold on, Big. So, like, what blows my mind is like these girls that are trying up with this list. Like, what do they bring to the table?
Well, I would tell you that I would message this girl, but she blocked her name, so I can't tell you what she would say.
Fair, fair.
Because I would message her.
Because that blows my mind. Like, females like her, like, they want this type of lifestyle, but they don't bring anything to the table besides used pussy. Like, I don't understand why they're trying to have these high standards and high like trying to date these high value men when they don't even bring anything to the table.
Response? Anyone gonna respond?
I don't know what was even just said, to be honest with you.
Okay. In layman's terms, what Junior is saying that the individuals who make these lists that go viral, who you see say, I want someone who makes X amount, blah, 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 all these places I can't go because my first date needs to be like $1,000 or more for an individual to. So then Junior is saying, like, why should someone partake in that? Like, why should I spend $1,000 on you on the first date? Like, what am I getting out of it?
I don't know any people like this, so truthfully, I couldn't tell you.
And Kassie, I think
these people.
I actually think that's the best thing because these lists and all stuff, the stuff that goes viral is a very percentage-wise minute percentage of individuals. In this case, I mean, in this list, women. This is a very minute women. Like, this isn't talking about like
everyday women.
Yeah, everyday women, like a girl working at Kohl's trying to pay for like college. Like,
yeah.
But our social media algorithms are pushing the extremes.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they push what is going to get people fired up. And the thing is, like, most of these lists that come out, like, somebody thought that they were being funny, or they might be serious. I don't know. Bless them if they think they're serious. But, like, you put a thought out into the world without thinking about the fact that this literally lives rent-free on the internet for the rest of your life, and it's going to track you. Like, this is where we kind of landed at this point, because there is an aspect of this where, like, this is the reality of internet being involved in dating. Like, it is forever here, and no matter how many times that person deletes their profile, this lives on the internet because they are not, for lack of a better term, Taylor Swift, who can like fight this stuff and get it taken down.
Right.
I know it also too with not even just the women in this set. It's also from the algorithm where the men who know this algorithm makes them viral, like the Red Pill community, like Professional Fit Podcast, and there's some other ones too that specifically find these type of women to put on their shows, and then they go at the women, and then if you got some 12 13-year-old boy watching that stuff, they're gonna think that all women are like that.
I mean, the reality is the actual majority of people are not the people who are going viral.
Correct.
But it makes it seem like everybody is who's going viral.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's whoever goes viral becomes the majority.
Yep.
But it's getting more and more majority-ish. Just want to throw some stats from Forbes Health about where people are meeting their dates currently. So overall, 45% are meeting their dates on online dating apps. Our age range, we'll do the 27 to 42 age range. 47% of 27 to 42-year-olds are meeting their dates online. Second place is concerts and festivals.
Interesting.
That is at 34%. This is for our age range. Overall, second place is through a friend. So, and these all differ from 18 to 26, 27, 42, 43 to 58, 59 to 77. And then the people who are dating 78 and above, they are meeting most of their dates at festivals, 48%. And speed dating. Kassie, you said the internet is here to stay forever, which is true. Most people are meeting people online, but then when you leave online, like meeting through a video games in the high 20%. But when you go to meeting through a friend, meeting in person, those go significantly lower. Do you feel will there ever be a time where people will meet people in the real world anymore?
I mean, so this is actually really interesting because I got called for jury duty at the beginning of this year. And one of the things that we actually had a conversation about, and the reason for the entire trial was knowing somebody's age. I will say that I think the vast majority of us will probably continue to find people online because there are plenty of times that I don't know how old somebody is. Somebody can look 12 and they're almost 30. And then there are other people who look almost 30 and they're 12.
You're gonna end up on Law and Order SVU, man.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. You don't want to end up in some sort of situation like that. So in theory, being able to find these people online first and understand that it can be better. But I think the other thing is as things have progressed and as the internet's gotten bigger and bigger, we have all moved to various places. I've lived as down to Florida, but the other thing is the vast majority of my friends no longer live near me. So I don't have the opportunity to meet people through my friends. And truthfully, I don't know any millennial that's going to tell you different, but making friends as an adult sucks, especially if you're an introvert.
Yep.
I mean, the statistics are showing it too, depending each time you hit a different age range, something changes. The gap from through work, people who are 18 to 26 are meeting someone at 24%. But then when you jump to 60 to 74, it jumps to 37% of people are meeting potential dating suitors at work. And then we're
what age range was that?
So 18 to 26, they're at 24%. And then jump all the way to 60 and 60 to 77, they're at 37%. They're meeting at work.
I mean, those age ranges make sense though, because a lot of those people that are in the older range don't use the internet a lot. A lot of people who are on the younger range are probably working campus jobs.
And then our age ranges are right down the middle, and they had online dating apps, online video games, concerts, festivals, speed dating, which I didn't know was still a thing, through a social club, at the gym, through work, through social media, which I think is the biggest one for young people, through a friend, at a party, in a bar club, in a grocery store, or on public transport.
What's the percent for public transport?
For which, for overall, or which age range?
Our age range.
5%.
That makes sense because,
Yeah.
like, out in public, like, no one wants to be talked to anymore. Like, everyone's so, I don't want to say introverted, but
In their own space.
yes, thank you. In their own space, that I feel like those meet cute stories don't happen as often as they used to. So everyone's going to the dating apps because there's like over 5,000 dating apps.
And they all suck.
Well, Kassie, if you can make a perfect dating app, what would you have on it?
I'm genuinely, Martin, I don't know. I mean, the thing is like, I think people keep trying to get like a better and better dating app. But the thing is like, people could say one thing on their dating app and really not mean that. And then like, you end up with a bunch of other things. But I will say the number of people in my dating range that are like, I don't know what I want. I'm like, what are you doing on here then? Like, please go to Tinder.
Yep.
And then Forbes has some other stuff. They have the percentages of from each state of how many people say I love you to a person within the first like 2-3 months. Yeah, this is very detailed. So people in Ohio, 31% say I love you within the first 3 months of dating.
Okay.
And then
Well, I
Indiana,
mean, if you know, you know.
and then Indiana, 26% say I love you within the first 3 months of dating. And then Texas, 27% say I love you within the first 3 months of dating.
So about 30% of people.
Mm-hmm. And then you go to California, it's like 40. Georgia, 40.
Oof.
Which state is the highest?
I'm trying to look. There's Oregon,
Probably
California.
one with a lot of sun.
Yeah. Arizona is 46. Yep.
Mm,
But Oregon is 9%.
damn.
It's all the vitamin D. That's what it is. It's all the vitamin D in Arizona and lack of in
multiple
Oregon.
kinds.
Yeah, so like the highest are like Arizona, Massachusetts, and Connecticut. And then Oregon's the lowest. And Illinois is, yeah, they're at 41.
Connecticut's got money though, so like they don't have a lot of. I don't want to say a lot. That's not fair. But like, it's one of the overall happiest states.
Oh,
Is it?
okay.
Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah, and then the lowest are Oregon at 9, Illinois at 13%, and 16 those in New Mexico.
New Mexico actually has a very large mental health shortage too.
Mm.
But also, I'm very surprised that Indiana and Ohio are higher than the lowest.
Like Junior said earlier, if you know, you know, and that Midwest hospitality.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, a lot of people love them some Midwest people.
Which
You either really love Midwest people or you really hate Midwest people. Those are like the only two options you
Right,
have.
there's no in between.
There's no in between, exactly.
well, the algorithms hate Midwest people. Because I've never seen a girl on any of these little like shows ever be from the Midwest. They're always girls from like Miami.
Oh.
Miami, California.
Every time. And I'm like, this is not a representation of.
Yeah, New York is the one too.
Because we're Midwest nice, which means we're majority nice.
You're not going to get a lot of drama on TV shows with Midwest people. You do see a lot of Southern people as well. It's weird because of Southern hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just layering over. That's just layering over the passive aggressive, like smile on your face, dagger behind our backs type deal.
Just like saying bless your heart when you don't mean anything nice by it.
No, absolutely not.
So I guess we'll start with Junior and Byron, and then the lady. So like Junior and Byron in this age, 2024. What are you like? What would you be looking for, like, in a potential partner?
Byron, you want to go first? Or you want me to?
You can go first.
So what I look for in a potential partner would be, let's see, work ethic. They're driven. They're loyal, responsible. They're not into the party scene at all. They know how to cook. They take care of their body. They're family oriented. They're not attention whores. They don't seek attention from other males. They're stay to themselves. They worry about themselves. I want to say those are like the main things for me, really.
So more traditional aspects.
Yeah, 100%. That's the only way I will date you or marry you if you're traditional. If I see any modern women bullshit, get the fuck out of my face.
So then, for the people who are listening, how would you
What does that even
describe a
mean?
modern woman?
Hello.
No, I was asking for the people who are listening who don't know. Like, how would
I
you?
was so confused. Everyone's over here quiet and shit.
No, because we're waiting for your answer.
Oh, for me?
Yeah, because you
Yes.
said like a modern. Like, how would you describe?
You're thinking you're asking them.
No,
Oh,
no,
that's
no. I'm asking
awkward.
you first, and
I'm
then
over
I'll
here.
go.
I'm over here laughing and shit. What a modern day woman is. It's just that woman right there, for example, the one that made that list. She's
Okay.
100% a modern day woman. A person that thinks they can do everything. How can I explain this in a good way? Not submissive. It's not traditional. Just everything I listed about what I see the person, it's the opposite of that.
So you're not. So from your thing, you said one of the things was not an attention whore. So if that means you're not dating anyone who has like 100,000 or more followers on like Instagram or something like that.
Correct. Like, and then another thing too, I think I'm big on is like how you dress in public. A lot of modern day women now are dressing to literally just show their fucking body. Their fake boobs, their BBL, whatever the case is, to seek the attention from males. That which again, I personally feel like those type of women that I use for recreational use. Have fun and then I'm out. I'm not gonna sit down with them and settle and see, okay, can I build a family with so and so? Okay, what's her values? What's her morals? What's her beliefs? Like if they have the same beliefs as I do, okay, that's awesome. I can see someone with that person. But if they don't, okay, well then let's just have fun, do what you gotta do, and then I'm out. You know what I mean?
Byron.
For me, I just do top three. So like family values because I'm a big family person. Similar morals to me. I mean, they don't have to be 100% like mine, but similar morals to me. And then you gotta have a sense of humor because I like to laugh, as we all know. So we
Yes,
gotta
you
have
do.
a
Yes,
big
you
sense
do.
of humor.
Okay. So then to the ladies first, I guess, what are you? Well, 2 out of 3. Well, pretend you're single. What were you looking for in a potential partner? Like, what things are you looking for?
All right, so Andrea, I guess I'll ask you a question. Since you're
All
dating
right.
somebody,
All
what
right.
was what were the traits that you were looking at with him? Like
Uh,
what made you think like, okay, yeah, I can work with this, I can start dating this guy, or I can see a future with him. What was it? Like what were you looking for in that?
I mean, just going off of Byron's like sense of humor, has a great sense of humor. Being kind of emotionally intelligent. I've realized that as much as I am supportive of other people, I don't quite give myself enough support. So having a partner that's kind of attuned to that and willing to be supportive of me, and remind me that I'm my own worst enemy at times within my own home. So that was really what primarily I was looking for, and luckily I've found it.
Man, it's a great time. Great. I'm so glad you brought that word emotional intelligence, because if you or anyone could explain how there's been a rise in emotional cheating and not physical cheating. So
Mhm.
now partners are emotionally cheating on each other, which
So
I
this
was
is
like,
mad.
I've just learned about this 2 weeks ago. So if
So-
anyone else who knows about it, please explain.
So emotional intelligence is kind of separate from emotional cheating. Actually, I feel like emotional cheating has been on the rise for a long time because essentially, depending on who you are, because different people have different definitions of the lines for cheating. Like some people will consider like even a passive, like flirty comment is cheating. Your boundaries, totally respect that. But then other people are more so like, as long as it doesn't get physical, they don't care. Again, their boundaries, props to you, whatever. Emotional cheating, generally speaking, is confiding in an outside source about your innermost thoughts, feelings, struggles, even within the relationship struggles to someone else instead of your partner. So essentially you have an emotional partner that is not your actual partner. And those lines can get a little blurry when it comes to, or some people find them blurry with friendships. But the biggest thing is if you're telling some of these things to this third person that you aren't telling your partner, that's kind of a big red flag because essentially you're hiding things. And then, if you're hiding conversations with this person from your significant other, even though it's not physical, it'd be considered emotional cheating.
Thank you for the information. That was well said.
You're welcome.
Well said. Kassie, you're up.
I don't know. I'll be honest. Like, I think part of it is that I've been dating on and off for so long, and I've had so many other things going on in my life that I'm just exhausted from dating. Even though I don't do it like a ton, but I think part of it is like just having somebody who's open, honest, who has a similar kind of like vibe and lifelong goal to me, as well as like general like kind of like alignment of, I guess, goals long term is important. But I think that those like tend to be big things that a lot of times when you're trying to date people, like it seems like it lines up at first and then it's kind of hard to fully navigate like later on. I will also be honest, like there is an aspect that I think I've started to realize as gotten older that like politically I need somebody to be at least like close to where I'm at, where we can have like a good conversation. It doesn't have to be like perfect one-on-one, but like just having like amicable discussions. Because the thing is like being anything other than the majority at this point in life is really hard. And like to be with somebody who's of an opposite kind of like stance with you in politics, because we've gotten so charged over it. But yeah, I mean, like just being a generally good person is important to me. And understanding like that people walk differently through life than you do.
Oh, that's a good point. Especially what you brought up, but like as you get older, you start thinking about like those stuff about like political stuff, values, and all of that. Because as you're getting older, typically normal people are dating to find their potential suitor for life. And if you want to start a family, that's your stuff. But then like you don't want to start a family and then you had no idea what this person's values.
Well, I have
were.
a question about that. That's a good point that you're bringing up, Martin. Actually, so I guess my thing is why don't a lot of people? That's what I do, and is just manage expectations up front with the person right off the jump, like from the first day, whatever. Say, hey, like, what are you trying to get out of this? Like, are you looking to like marriage, or just have fun, or you just want to have a fling? You want to have a 6 month thing, long term? What is it? So then you guys know right then and there what you guys are going to get into, and then also like, all right, after this one date, it's not going to work out. Cool. So now you're saving your time, energy, and money. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people are scared to manage expectations and set expectations up front in the dating world, which is hard. It's hard for a lot of people nowadays, is because they're scared to do that. But if they actually would do that, they would save them a lot of hurt, money, time, and energy.
I mean, I agree 100%. I will say though, like I find a lot of times when you start getting into these things, like you start out thinking you're on the same page, and then all of a sudden, like, we've taken a left-hand turn and we don't know exactly how we got there. Because I mean, as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot quicker to pull the ripcord. Because the thing is like my personality is not changing at this point. I'm pretty like solidified in who I am, what my values are, and like what I expect out of a partner.
I would also say the flip thing too, because I mean, we talked about like modern women and all that stuff, but from the guy thing, I mean, Byron Jr., myself, we all know guys who have lied to their partner saying, oh, I want such and such. And then when they get what they want, they're gone. So that's why people aren't fully upfront, since we're being honest on this thing. It's just the truth, though. Like, oh, I want a relationship, all that stuff. And then you woo them till you get what you want, and then they're out. And then you have the whole cycle of that person gets hurt. They say men aren't shit, and then it goes around.
100%.
So that's why. I mean, which goes 100%. Back to Cassie's thing at the very beginning. Like, the whole ecosystem has just been destroyed and is very divisive.
Well, and I think that's a huge piece too, is like, while we're stuck with like internet dating, the other thing is regardless of how much you say like I'm intentionally dating, like there are always gonna be people out there that are like, all right, well, like you're not doing exactly what I want, so swipe, I'll find somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We didn't even get to Chelsea. What about you?
I think what I was looking for was somebody who is independent. One, because I am also very independent, but I'm also very busy, like both with work and personal stuff. So I wanted somebody who would understand and not get their feelings hurt if I wasn't around all the time or accessible all the time. That was definitely like my number one thing. And then like I met my boyfriend through work, but I got to watch like how he interacted with people, both like our coworkers, but also like strangers. So seeing him treat people with kindness and like having that ability just to talk to people was something that really spoke to me. And then 3 is just like being established, like not just like professionally, but also personally. Like I wanted somebody who was able to take care of themselves and be financially secure and have that good head on their shoulders type of a vibe.
Mm-hmm. So I do want to ask a question then. So everyone had your reasons why, your standards and whatnot. But then my biggest thing that I see pushed through the algorithm is if someone has their standards, that is fine. But if Junior has his standards, Andrea has hers, why do then the opposite sex attack that person's standards if it's their personal standard? Like, Junior has his standards, that's fine. Those are his personal standards. He's not saying everyone has to do it. But if we all went on the old Twitter machine or Instagram, typed Junior's things up, people would attack him. Or Chelsea, your thing, if we typed yours up, oh, I need someone independent, blah, blah, then you might have people attacking you. So why does like the opposite gender attack the opposite, like?
Because now it comes down to, Myron, it's simple, man. Because now it comes down to like, oh, so for example, say if I was dating Kassie, okay, I said, hey, Kassie, this is my non-negotiables. It is what it is. Now the opposite side would be like, wow, that's controlling, that's manipulative. Wow, you're insecure. All that's how it is now. So that's why you can't even say anything. Like, for me, I'm a big thing. Like, I don't do the whole like, if I had a girlfriend, like, you're not doing girls trips, you're not going out with your girls. We're not doing that. That's just a set in stone thing. I'm not doing that shit. And if you have an issue with that,
then?
No, well,
see, but you can't have it both ways.
Well,
can't have it both ways.
Hey, now hold on though.
Okay, but that's a good point, because essentially when there are certain things that actually might be controlling or setting up a double standard and things of that nature, it makes it that much harder for people to point that out and be taken credibly, because
that's true though. Valid.
Easy.
But the thing is this big. So like in my situation, if I do go on a guy's trip, I'm gonna make sure my girl knows who the person is. It's that simple as that. Like if so you're saying right now, like, I'll go on a guy trip with you and Byron because I know you guys aren't gonna do anything stupid. You know what I mean? Same thing with my girl. If I know my girl's friends, if they're single or they're attention whores, no, you're not going with them. You can go with Sally Mae and Jody because they're more traditional. They're in long-term relationships. I'm cool with that. It just depends on your friend choice.
So you don't want your potential person to go on you don't want them going with single friends.
Yeah, no, because the single community tries so hard to recruit people that are in relationships come back to the single community. And I personally feel that way. Especially if your friends are attention whores or seeking attention, they want male validation. No, I'm not doing that.
Thoughts?
I mean, I have lots of thoughts, but I'll keep them to myself.
No, please. I actually want to hear this because I want to debate. I like this stuff. So let me hear what you have to say.
I mean, I think one of the big things for a lot of people is like how you just like word things. So there's like the aspect of having standards, but when you talk about like trips and things like that, like having that conversation before those things come up is important instead of being like, oh, well, like now I heard that you have a trip and like I'm not comfortable with it. So like you're not allowed to go on your trip, but like I still get to go on my trip. Like those are the aspects that I think are really important to talk about in like relationships. I think that having your own standards and things is totally fine.
Again, it just comes down to just managing expectations up front.
Yes. I just think that there's a lot of aspects where we get so into these ideas of being like so forward thinking in emotions. And I think that that's great to a degree, but there's also an aspect of like, you just need to literally have frank conversations about stuff. Like I can be kind to your emotions. I don't have to agree with them. But at the same time, like, I think there's also this aspect, like we've kind of gone in two different directions when it comes to like, the way that we have these standards set and the way that we do relationships and things is that everybody wants everybody to be very like kind and understanding and like in touch with like whatever these people are like feeling or you're feeling or everybody's feeling. But then on the other side of it, we also don't necessarily want to be like held to accountability. I think it's about like having accountability, being clear about what your expectations are, being clear about why your expectations are.
But you gotta realize a lot, especially now and especially in today's society, they don't want to do that. They don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to have those hard conversations. They don't want to communicate.
I know, but that's my point.
That's why I'm agreeing with you. But I'm saying, in my perspective, I'm going to tell my significant other up front, hey, this is my expectations. And I'm going to communicate with you. I'm going to have hard conversations with you. Like, relationships aren't fucking that easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be times where we're not going to see eye to eye. We're just going to compromise and communicate about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you say that
supposed
stuff,
to be done.
And if you say that stuff and they're like, I don't agree to it, I'm leaving, and then that's it. That's fine. I mean, that's what everyone's.
That's simple.
That's what they're entitled right to. I mean, but my thing with the whole trip and single. I mean, if you even have a remote sense in your head that you think your person's going to potentially cheat because they're with some friends, then you shouldn't be with them. But I'm an old school person.
Too. That's valid.
I have no issue with my partner going. I mean, if you have any unwavering, like if your unwavering faith wavers a little, you shouldn't be with that person. That's simple.
Yeah. I mean, that's
100%.
like a foundational crack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once you have that crack, you're going to be worrying about everything. They're going to be like, oh, I'm going to Kroger. They really going to Kroger? Oh, I'm doing like if you have any cracks.
That's OD.
I'm just saying. Wait,
some people are like that, though.
I know some people are like that.
That's facts.
Like once the first thing, I mean, once you have any hint of like hesitation, then your stuff's probably over. And I think that's another thing that people just try and prolong it, and then your anxiety starts getting onto your partner, and they start getting pissed at you, and then it's over, just because you were paranoid. So
yeah,
especially
if you're paranoid, just
it's like, oh, go ahead.
Have that conversation. Just have that conversation, and if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, then move on. There's plenty of fish in the sea, so you're gonna find someone.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah. Basically, what I was gonna say is it just when you have a reason to to be like suspicious or paranoid. That's a crack that, creates in the foundation, but there's also the issue of, bringing cracks in the foundation to the relationship to start, like bringing in your past hurts and traumas and projecting it onto your new partner, which is not a recipe for success. So, one of the biggest things about dating and that I've found helpful during my basically 2.5-year pause, was really kind of reflecting on me and what I needed to get over to try to not put on the people I was attempting to date and am now dating. And I'm still working.
That's very true. I agree. I agree on that. I agree on that for sure. I agree with that.
I think most people also need to realize, would you date you? If you say no to that, then you shouldn't be dating. Then you don't expect anyone to date you. I think people, it's complicated, obviously, relationally, but then it's not complicated. It's like simple stuff. Like, you look yourself in the mirror, all the shit you've done. Would you date you? Would you want your friends of the would you, anyone dating you? Like, and if you say no, then like you said, Andrew, you got some stuff you got to work on. And once you're comfortable in who you are and all that stuff, then you can go out there.
So back out there, yeah.
But if you're like, oh, hell no, I wouldn't date me, or, oh, how do you feel about my friend Byron? Oh, no, you should never date Byron. If I'm saying that, well, then damn.
Yeah, if you're saying that about your friends, you may need new friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's just like, hey, but I mean, it's just, I think people overcomplicate. And I do think, like, the more and more social media just becomes literally the culture, then the more diluted this stuff actually gets. So, and then Chelsea, what did you want? Did you want to say anything else to those things, to those points?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered it all. Honestly, every time I wanted to jump in, somebody would say it and I'd be like, "Oh, cool."
I mean, because Junior said his stuff. Like, I mean, for the late, are there any non-negotiable things with a potential partner or partner that you've already communicated with or have in the past?
I mean, this is more like personal, but like one of my non-negotiables was children.
Okay.
Like, that made it difficult, like finding someone who was comfortable with the fact that I don't want kids and will not have kids. Luckily I did find somebody, but I was very like, it wasn't until my late 20s when I found that person. And my previous relationship, initially they were okay with it. And then as time went on, like there's definitely that pressure from like his family. And then he started thinking about it and that changed. And like that relationship had a lot of issues anyway, but that was my non-negotiable. And that was pretty much like solidified everything and made it easier for me to make that decision.
And you're entitled to them. Andrea, Kassie.
Go ahead, Kassie.
I mean, I don't know that I would say that there's anything that like fits everybody, because truthfully, like there are things that other women are perfectly fine with that I would never deal with. That doesn't make it wrong, but just makes it not something that I would be willing to stomach, I guess.
Well, I have a question, Kat. So, like, what is your non-negotiables exactly?
What are my non-negotiables?
Yeah.
I mean, my non-negotiables tend to be around like my own life goals. Like, I would like to have children. I own a business at this point, so like you have to be willing to understand that like I have to work a lot. Not because necessarily like I always want to be working a lot, but because I literally won't have a roof over my head otherwise. You have to be respectful of like diversity and like the LGBT community and all of that, and like understand that the world, like everybody walks from different, like I've said before, like everybody has different walks that they come from in life, and like you can't be the like end all be all like expert on everything and say that like, oh well, like that inequity doesn't exist, because like that's a large part of my life is dealing with people who go through that on a daily basis. So being with somebody that doesn't understand, that's really just not going to work for either of us.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay.
Andrea?
I feel like when I first started dating, and I mean going all the way back to high school, early college, a lot of what I felt like were my non-negotiables were actually just the basic tenets of dating. Like, don't cheat on me. don't be like, talking about me like poorly with your friends. Like, that doesn't make anybody like that. Of course, it's a non-negotiable, but that also should be something that's kind of understood in a relationship with somebody you respect, love. You don't do those things. And I've noticed as I've gotten older, they've changed and kind of come off the floor, essentially. But one of the ones that was kind of slow to the uptake that happened more recently was one of my non-negotiables is no longer being willing to settle for being like a second choice. And I'm not saying like you can't do boys' nights or things like that. I mean, having myself be put in situations or allowing myself to be in a situation where I'm kind of waiting in the wings for someone to make a decision, like not doing that anymore.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Essentially what happened was early in the dating process, this person's ex came back into the picture and was like, I want to get back together. And they told me about it and I really liked them. So I was like, you know what? Like, you're undecided. Take the time you need to figure it out. And that was a dumb move. Straight up.
Shit, I would have been gone.
Right. And I should have been. And
very simple thing.
Right.
Like,
and I mean, it's the concept of like, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's simple as simple as that. If dudes has to think about it, I'm out of there.
Right. And so it's one of those things where for me, hopefully I don't need to develop my non-negotiables further. But I've noticed that mine are generally lower and have been rising. So I'm glad for that progress. But I mean, one of my old non-negotiables really was moving to Texas, and that's the primary reason that broke up my last actual relationship. And that's probably one of the only boundaries I've held firm on was I'm going to do this. And their attitudes about that agreement changed, and that's okay. Just sticking to your guns. And so, yeah, making your decision, staying with it.
Side note, Forbes says the average cost for a date for normal people is $116.
Normal people.
I saw that.
Normal people. I'm weak.
Expensive. Like $116. That's basically a Cheesecake Factory date.
Literally.
I mean, for
it's
people,
insane. Like, it's insane though. Just going out to like dinner, I would say I routinely try to pick like whatever's cheapest on the menu.
Right.
And it still ends up being like around $80 for two people. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah.
And that's the average. I mean, if you do the average median for people's paychecks and all of that, if you're only bringing in $1,000 every 2 weeks, that's a tenth of your paycheck on a date.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
oh my God.
I mean, that's the average median, what, 39,000, 38,000? So,
something like that.
Dang, Byron, I'm about to borrow some money from you then.
I'm going to keep that comment to myself because we both know out of the two of us who makes more.
So what? I mean, it's 2024 now. It's not looking like it's going to get any better. People are getting more divisive. It's basically become men versus female on the internet. If all you watch is the internet, Kassie, where do you see this 10 years from now?
Dating?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every like third person that I swipe across has already got somebody that they're with. They want to like have a polyamorous relationship, and I'm like, I don't want that. So I don't know where this is headed, to be honest with you.
I'm surprised no one else said something, put that in their little non-negotiables. It's like, hey, I'm not We
I
ain't
mean,
added-
I'm not.
Nah.
Like that's a non-negotiable for me, but I will say, like, I know people who it works for, and that's good for them. But like, there are points in time where I go through dating apps, and I'm like, I'm not looking for a couple. I feel like there could be a separate app for this because there's a separate app for everything else.
There should be. I wonder if it already exists and it's just not popular.
Probably is, and it's probably not popular because being a throuple is a weird idea.
Byron, just imagine you're there swiping and it's just the girl in the picture. Then you meet him on the date and you're like, oh, who's this? Your brother? He's like, oh, no, this is my husband. We're trying to add you in.
Bro, if I show up to a date and there's a girl and another guy, I'm leaving.
Man, so Byron, I don't know if you see it a lot, like on your side, but like from my side, I would say probably every like 10 people that come across my my dating profiles is a couple looking for somebody else to
That's
join their
wild.
like relationship.
That's wild.
It is so
yeah,
common,
you do see that, yeah.
and it's just insane.
Hey, fuck it, why not?
You're going to go to work while you're...
No.
Okay.
Man, it's hard enough to worry about like what diseases you might catch from somebody. I don't need multiple people.
And then you
Right.
got a schedule. It's like, oh, you get to sleep in the room tonight while their other partner gets the guest bedroom and you're alternating. Bruh, no.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Oh, hell no.
Hey, if you live in an
Again,
apartment, you get in the couch tonight.
It works for some people. It does.
Yeah. I mean-
Polyamorous relationships can be healthy, and
How the fuck is it healthy?
Some people like
there are people who like I know lots of people who actually do it very like nicely, and it's great, and like they have very clear like boundaries and like ways of doing it. It's just not for me, which is what makes it frustrating when I'm on an app trying to find like somebody to date.
right.
But I mean, for people that want it, like go for it.
it only takes one of them to get jealous, though. And then it goes...
That's it, man.
Go
Or
south,
one really
yeah.
catches feelings and then it's over with, man. So I don't think that shit's healthy. There's no way
I
that
think
shit's fucking
everybody
healthy.
has feelings in that situation. Like a polyamorous relationship is different than like an open relationship.
Or just a relationship that has somebody like tag in for like a
Yeah.
while, essentially. A polyamorous relationship, it generally is always, or there's mutual understandings, agreements. Clear communication is the only way those relationships work.
Yeah.
So, and of course,
That's
is
crazy.
everybody good at that? Absolutely.
No.
It's the same thing as like a monogamous relationship. Is the communication in all of them great? No. So do a lot of them work out? Not necessarily. So it's kind of the same thing. Obviously it's not your preference. But for people that's what they want, that's what they enjoy, and if they're able to be happy that way, like more power to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, like there's definitely like a very distinct difference between like a polyamorous relationship and like an open relationship or an open marriage. Which I mean, those can also work, but they're just like different in the way that they're structured, basically.
Byron, 10 years from now, is dating cooked? Is there going to be people dating 10 years from now? Or is it 100% going to be virtual world dating? Like, what do you think?
I think people will still be dating. Where it goes, I don't know. Probably more apps where people's different, I don't want to say quirks, but different facets that they're interested in. Preferences, thank you. Different preferences, so everyone can find, what they're looking for. So I don't think dating will like stop being a thing.
Chelsea?
I don't think it's going to change. Like the apps might, but the people I feel like are going to stay pretty consistent. Like, I don't know. I think it'll be harder for people to get into relationships as we become more reliant on the internet. But hopefully I don't have to deal with it.
I was going to say, would you want to be single? Would you want to be single right now in these days and times?
Absolutely not. No.
Junior?
Skip me.
Junior?
Man, no, it's not. It's just gonna keep getting worse and worse.
Okay.
So it's just to the point where it's like I don't even know what to say, honestly. just lost for words, but it is what it is, though.
And
Can't do anything about it.
I mean, dating essentially is always going to exist because very few people want to live their entire life by themselves. And if they do and they're happy with it, cool beans. But generally speaking, most people would like a partner to enjoy life with. So dating will obviously continue. I feel like things won't get better until there's like a come together moment, just like of understanding coming from both sides and from both sides of the majority to chime in and be like, hey, you guys, like, stop with the red and blue pills. Like, this is way extreme. We come back to reality. And we can come back to reality within the virtual space. It's just, it's hard. Like y'all said, they make it seem like the viral moments and the people are what's common, but the fact they're going viral is because they're not what's common. So I don't know if there's ever a surge or push in, the everyday accounts and moderate standings on things and opinions. I think that might help, but that doesn't seem to be the trend anytime soon.
My biggest pet peeve are people who give relationship advice who don't ever have successful relationships.
Jesus Christ, man, shut the hell
Well,
up! Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, tell those people to shut the hell up. They have no business giving them a freaking 2 cents. 2 cents,
and they're the ones
ridiculous.
who are going viral. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Mind blowing, bro. Mind blowing.
Because when they're like, "Oh, this girl," I was like, "But you don't even have a girlfriend, or you don't even have a wife. So why are you telling how 12 to 15-year-olds should get laid?" Or like a girl saying, like, "This is how you get a husband," where you've never been in a stable relationship.
That's how it usually goes.
You've just been silent, or just you're in the relationship, but you're not actually happy in it. Because that's another place I've noticed a lot of dating advice comes from, is like married women that, and some of the examples that they'll give where it makes me cringe, because I remember being in a relationship like that, and it's like, are you actually happy doing that, or are you not? Because I definitely was not, and that's become a non-negotiable for me. So yeah, it's hard. At the same time, it's one of those things where if you have a lot of failed relationships, if you actually take the time to understand why they failed on your end, you should be able to have some decent advice. But at the same time, ideally, you would also have some sort of stable partner by now.
True. To go back to Junior's thing, just shut up.
That's it, man. That's all you gotta do. Shut the fuck up.
All right. Anything else? We've hit an hour and 30 minutes before we close.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Byron,
Great
I'll be sending you
discussion.
an invoice after this.
What?
My time.
First 2 cents.
I'm not the one who set up this pot, so.
Well,
You're the main person I'm gonna attack.
I know.
wow. With that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. If you want to hear how opinions have changed, listen to the dating one from 2022 and then listen to this one back to back to see if our opinions have changed on that. Maybe we'll be back 2 years from now to see how things have changed again. We'll see. To the lady who made this list, and to the Cheesecake Factory lady, and to all the other communities, the red pill, blue pill, all them, and people giving advice and they don't know what they're talking about. To Junior's credit, just shut up because you don't know what you're talking about. And with that being said, L7C podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.